Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Gothalion, and we're back here today to talk on the subject of raids again. Yesterday I did a video on raid bosses and what I thought was going wrong inside of Borderlands 2 and even Borderlands 1 for the raid bosses that they have in there and the problems that I have with those ones. And I wanted to have a little discussion with you guys about a talking point that was actually brought up in the comment section of that video, and that's the actual raid portion of raid bosses. Now, in most games that have raid bosses, there's some sort of raid attached to them. The raid is like a souped-up dungeon with a few mini bosses and a few big fish, a few area challenges, and little things that go into them that give them like that hardcore feel, like this is end game content. Like you're fighting regular enemies that are much stronger than other enemies, and I feel like that portion of raids is completely absent from Borderlands, and I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think we should have raid bosses without having the raids attached to them. Now, how could they do this? Well, in other games, like I said, there are mini bosses and stuff, and you could actually get unique gear throughout the entire raid that you wouldn't be able to get elsewhere in the world, not just from the epic boss itself. The boss is supposed to be the culmination of the raid. The boss is supposed to be this epic challenge with a really nice payout for all of your hard work, your team's hard work. Now, hopefully these are things that they could balance out to be able to be done solo, but I feel like Gearbox and 2K, I don't know if this is something that could necessarily make it inside of Borderlands, the pre-sequel, because it feels like it's sort of finished, definitely finished at this point. But in the future, they could have actual raid zones that you go into, and they play out like their own self-contained missions or story arcs, and within them, you run through an area sort of like you would, like I'm doing now, except you would run into much stronger enemies on the way to the final boss, and you would hit mini bosses with their own life bars along the way, and the loot chances throughout the entire raid should be increased compared to doing just normal mobbing throughout the rest of the game. I feel like this would be a really good way to balance out getting good drops of loot from more difficult enemies and running through what should be an epic challenge, what should be this really test of might, and it shouldn't be a test of avoiding bullshit mechanics. It should actually require you to have some skill, and if you have the skill, then you'll make it through the raid. This is just my opinion on it, but I feel like Borderlands would really benefit from some system like this, where, okay, let's say if Womb Island was a raid, I would have hit, you know, tons of badass enemies along the way, different combinations of enemy packs that just present a different challenge from running around in the normal areas of the game. You know, I come over here and there would be like a mini boss. This is a perfect open area for some sort of like big giant sandworm mini boss or something before we get over to Cromarax. This is just something that it feels like it makes sense to me, and I don't know why they didn't do it. It just kind of feels silly that they would just put raid bosses in, but not have the actual raid, because sometimes the raid is a huge part of what makes raiding fun in MMOs and games with raids. We need to have a series of bosses, we need to have a zone with a self-contained mission to it, and the loot payout along the way needs to be much better. We need to be able to collect more resources from these raid instances, these raid zones. Let me know how you guys feel. Is this something that you would like to see in the future of the Borderlands franchise? I feel like this is something that is kind of necessary for Border Worlds, but I don't know if that's something we're going to see for Borderlands, the pre-sequel. Anyways, guys, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Again, sound off in the comments section below. Let me know how you feel about raid instances being with a huge culmination of the raid bosses that we're already getting. And I'll see you guys back in the Borderlands.